Artlist.io.
Hello!
Hello, and welcome to Rainbow Dreamcatcher,
the Love Podcast.
Welcome, I'm your host, Nilla. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and relationship coach. I travel the world helping folks to learn the skills they need to have healthy and happy relationships.
And I am Big Sexy, her co-host and loving husband, providing fun and brevity throughout the world.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
I don't know. I actually don't have a joke. I was thinking about what joke we could start this with because today we are talking about humor and relationships.
Yes, laughter and marriage.
Laughter and love.
Laughter along. So knock, knock.
Yeah. Who's there?
Yeah, that's how that goes. That tends to go.
So, I thought we'd maybe talk about this topic for a couple of reasons. One, for a personal reason, and actually, I can't remember where this was. Was it like a Mexican restaurant?
Oh, I remember exactly where this was.
Yeah.
This was early in our dating.
Yeah,
We were
right.
actually officially boyfriend and girlfriend.
Okay.
We went to a lunch date with Jin
Right.
Anna King and Jennifer Kleitz.
That's right. Shout out to Jin and Jen White.
Yeah, and it was one of the Mexican restaurants in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chain of them. They all start with M, and then like
Michaels?
Not Michaels. It was much more Mexican name. Michoacan, something like
I
that.
really apologize, everybody, that we are butchering whatever that word
Whatever
is.
that
It's
is.
a real word.
It's a real word. We
don't
know
know
what we can see it in our brains, but we can't say it out loud.
Yeah, it's an Michoachan.
Some of you.
Michoacan.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all.
We're gonna slide in the racist territory for that.
I am so sorry. I just have never known how to pronounce it, so I just literally I tell people where to meet me. They know. They know where to
but everybody, if you're there, if you know, you know.
They all know.
And we're having lunch.
And
you and I were sitting at the table and we're
talking
joking about something like we
today,
do.
Yeah.
And Jen looks over and says, "I bet you two just laugh all the time." And we looked at each other and laughed. Yep.
She was like,
"We sure do. We
100%.
absolutely do."
Yeah. And that's been true of our relationship pretty much from the start, and still true. I mean, I don't know. We tend to laugh a lot about a lot of stupid things.
Well, you married a very silly person.
That's true.
I am very, very silly.
I'm serious. I'm a super serious person, for those who...
Yep.
I mean, I am.
Yeah.
As compared to my partner,
If you compare us, yes.
A very serious kind of person.
Yeah.
And I have a tendency to have more serious conversations with folks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you compare us, I am Jim Carrey, you are Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Gary Oldman, really?
I mean,
Well,
I just recently saw him in an interview, so he's the first serious actor that's in my brain.
Yeah, we got to come up with something better than that.
Yeah.
Don't make me Gary Oldman relationship.
The Robert De Niro.
He's funny now, though. He does comedy.
But he's known as a dramatic actor who's kind of gone into humor. That's kind of where you are, right? I'm
a dramatic actor.
You're a very serious person who can be funny.
Who can be funny? Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, and I am a very comedic person who can go serious.
Yeah, I'd really love to have an actor though that's not in their 70s. That would be awesome.
I'm going to go brain dead trying to think of.
I'm the Selena Gomez.
You're the Timothy Chalamet, the Selena Gomez.
Thank you.
Yes, Selena Gomez.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Compared to me, these 80-year-old white men, I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what's happening.
I mean, to be fair, I did compare myself to a 60-year-old white man, so.
Yeah, that's closer.
Yeah, well, I'm fair.
We just had a birthday here, so,
So I'm a little bit closer to
there's been a lot of old
than
jokes
I'd like to admit.
happening. But
But laughter has been, a through line
It's true.
of
It's
our
true.
marriage.
And it's
And our
something,
relationship.
it's something that, like, honestly, if you are looking on dating websites or apps, if you are talking to people who are looking for partners, one of the top things they say is, I want someone who has a good sense of humor. And so I thought it'd be interesting to start to look at, like, I don't know, is that really a thing? What does that look like in relationships? And, like, I don't know, we kind of intuitively think that someone with a good sense of humor would make a good match. But, like, why is that the case?
Yeah, why is that so important?
Yeah, so I mean, I looked up a couple of research articles. The first one was in Psychology Today, and it was just entitled "The Importance of Humor in Long-Term Relationships." And what I liked about that particular article is, actually, no, let me not start with that article. There was another article. I have to look up the name of it. I'll post it in the comments or in the whatever we put down below in the description, so you can look at the study. But there was a guy. His last name was Hall. I think it was a guy. And he actually did a meta-analysis. And a meta-analysis is taking all of the research studies with all kinds of different modalities, all different kinds of couples and relationship structures and so on, and just analyzing the data that's already been researched, right?
Okay.
So I think when they compiled the data, it would be something along the lines of studying 15,000 relationships, partners in relationship. It looked at the different kinds of humor that people had, but it really looked at the importance of humor in relationships. And it turns out, right, that the progression is, it's good if you have a good sense of humor. It's better if your partner has a good sense of humor. And it's best if humor is something that you share. So what he basically concluded after looking at all these studies was that the kind of humor, or whatever you find funny, like sometimes you find like quirky humor to be funny, and sometimes you find like, silly humor to be funny, or just like straight up jokes, whatever that would be, even like, my kid said something funny today, right? Whatever that would be, what actually bonds people is not the kind of humor, but the sharing of humor, that you actually share that with your partner, right? So, like, the kind of humor, and I guess there's like all different kinds of humor.
Yeah,
right?
There's a wide variety of humor. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't really matter, right? You like romantic comedies, you think those are funny? We watched, I don't know, Love is Blind.
Love is Blind is a whole different kind of humor.
We laughed the whole time, y'all.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Editors, I big up to you, editors.
And we said and the music
the
guy,
music director.
Well, season 4 of Love is Blind. And
hilarious.
The song choices were either on point and also absolutely hilarious.
Very editorial. Things like loser.
Yeah, right from the dude who's a loser. Like, you're just a terrible dude. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a good time just kind of like laughing it up all day. And it's not even really, I think, supposed to be a funny show.
It's not. It's supposed to be, a look into the world of love and romance. That might have to be a future episode.
We might have to watch another episode together and react
really go
to the episode.
The Love is Blind episode.
Yeah,
Rainbow Dreamcatcher style.
Yeah. So, what's really interesting is that, when you look at the different kinds of humor, right? There's like self-deprecating humor.
Mm-hmm.
There is, I don't know, there's a few different types, but like one thing I knew and kind of learned as a therapist that I share with folks that was also in both of these studies is that there's one kind of humor that you want to avoid, actually. There's only one kind of humor that's really detrimental to relationships. Guess what that might be.
Dark humor.
No, actually. No. Okay. Dark humor, as long as it's shared, dark humor is for you.
Self-deprecating humor.
Nope. You can self-deprecate all that you want to. Me.
Well, me to shit.
Well,
self-deprecating. Well,
yes,
I guess it's more self-deprecating, but still.
Ew. That's not.
Toilet humor?
No.
Okay, just checking.
But I think it should be. I feel like it's detrimental to my relationship right now. So. It's not really helping anything over here.
No? Okay.
All right, so here it is. The one kind of humor that is actually detrimental to relationships is sarcasm.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't put sarcasm in humor, but I guess it fits.
Yeah, sarcasm is really, I guess the definition of sarcasm, at least in the way that I think about it, is that it is wit with a sharp edge.
Okay.
right? And that's really what it is, right? Like it's you're kind of being funny, and sometimes sarcasm is funny. I mean, like I don't know, I like sarcastic humor when I'm watching it on like YouTube or something like that.
Right.
Sarcastic comedians I find sometimes funny, but sarcasm in relationships is actually really really destructive. It's also categorized as aggressive humor because it is cutting, right?
Right.
And the way I describe it to folks who have sarcasm as a part of their relationship, which you'd be surprised how many people actually utilize sarcasm in relationship, in ways that are generally a good chunk of the time not super destructive, is like play fighting, right? Do you remember play fighting when you were a kid?
Well, kind of.
Maybe that was a Missouri thing.
Well, I think you also grew up with siblings. So
I grew up with a bunch of siblings, right?
Right.
So
only child. I wasn't doing a whole lot of play fighting with. I mean, we were. Well, our play fighting was dressing up like a ninja.
Oh yeah. So let me explain play fighting for you, right? So play fighting is where I'm like pretending to do something to you, or we're pretending to fight, or we're pretending to wrestle, or whatever. We're not really fighting.
Right.
But the problem with play fighting is that you never know when play fighting turns into for real fighting.
Right. Yeah. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. So oddly enough, I tell you what, I was sitting at a Taco Bell. That should tell you how long ago, because I really don't eat Taco Bell.
You sure don't.
I don't eat Taco Bell. Sorry, guys, it's just not my thing. If that's your thing, it's totally fine. It's your thing. It's definitely not my thing anymore. But at one point, it was my thing. So I remember I was sitting in a Taco Bell and I saw this group of teenagers and they were play fighting, right? They were just kind of like, ha ha, and I push you here, and ha ha, and I whatever there. And at some point, somebody ha ha too much. And then suddenly it was this big old brawl, just this big ass brawl in Taco Bell. It was kind of crazy. And the point of that was that, not that these teenagers were brawling in Taco Bell, even though like, oh my gosh, it still is in my memory.
This is in Missouri?
No, this was in Vegas.
In Vegas. Okay. In Vegas. Look, one of the two places, and it's appropriate in both.
Yeah, right.
Because Taco Bell.
Right? Was just how it instantly changed, right?
Right.
And how how when it changed for one person, it changed for everybody, right? Like because one person, everybody else is playing, everybody else is thinking it's funny, everybody's laughing, and suddenly one person, it wasn't funny anymore. And then once it stopped being funny to that one person, it was on. And it was on for everybody. Because now it's not funny to me, and I'm going to make sure it's not funny to you, right? And that's what happens in, relationships when you have this kind of aggressive humor, right? Like, I can make fun of your, haha, whatever. Or I can make fun of your parents.
I've seen a lot of. Are you familiar with the dozens?
Yes.
I've seen a lot of dozens turn into that.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's a group of people saying the worst thing they can about each other, and then somebody hits that nerve, bing, say the wrong thing about somebody's mama.
Right.
And then it's for real a fight.
Right? So the same principle is true in terms of long-term relationship, which is why that's so corrosive, right?
Okay.
Is that, and you find people that have this kind of playful energy about them, think that it'll be fine until it's just not fine. Somebody gets hurt, right? And whoever has their feelings hurt often then has to deal not just with sarcasm, but with the ridicule of like, I'm just playing, and we play like this, and kind of the not just the sarcasm, but then also the invalidation that follows. It says like, you shouldn't be hurt by these jokes; they're just jokes, right? So I would advise folks, whatever kind of humor actually works for your relationship, avoiding sarcasm is going to be like a really positive thing for almost every relationship. And I gotta tell you, I've sat with some folks who, were appalled when I would tell them that you might consider that the way you're talking to each other, even when you're joking about, like, well, I'm not a junk like your mama. That's not. And even if your partner is laughing at the moment, at some point there's going to be a day, because you don't know if they're hungry, you don't know if they're tired.
You don't know, drunk ass mama just gave them a call.
You don't know if they just talked to their drunk ass mama. You don't know, right? And then all of a sudden you are in a fight and you don't know why you're in a fight. Right. So, or you do know why you're in a fight, but you don't think you should be in a fight.
Right.
So I would say to avoid sarcastic humor at all costs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause then that's a real vicious cycle to be upset because somebody is upset.
Yeah, right.
Right. Like I'm upset because you're upset.
Right.
And then that's just gonna make you more upset. Yeah, that's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
All because somebody's mama was drunk.
Stop. And we're not talking bad about nobody's mama.
No, if your mama drink,
if your mama's drunk,
hey, all
right
power to all power. Look, if you're a drunk mama listening to
and
this,
if you are a drunk mama listening,
thank you, welcome to the
thank
podcast.
you for listening. We appreciate you. You are welcome as well, and we actually want people to talk about you respectfully, drunk mama.
That's right.
So,
and if you do, in the comments, share your favorite drink.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so that was one article.
Yeah, and another thing that you might want to avoid around with folks, just FYI, right, is you also want to be careful when you're intoxicated and you're talking jokes.
Yeah, because
it's just a thing. We talk about drunk mamas, but it's a thing.
I call truth serum, man. There is some, and you think like we watch it on Love Is Blind.
Right.
Like we just watched an episode where, if you're not familiar with season 4, there's a guy named Josh and a guy named Malcolm. Marshall, that's right.
Yes, that's right.
Named Marshall, and they was like the same lady, and they, the producers invited Josh to this birthday party for another one of the cast members.
And they all had the gold cups.
But we all know it had alcohol
gold cups
in
is
it.
the alcohol.
And he showed up lit, and he was doing the ha 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 ha, and come on, bro, you cry sometime, right? And like all this drunk drama. But he was being very humor interaction, trying to be funny, but saying really hurtful shit.
Yeah.
And random shit. But yeah, so yeah, avoid, if you think you're funny, when you drunk, it's not.
Right.
It's just not.
Yeah. And then when it comes to aggressive humor, you can have aggressive humor, right? But there are actually different types, and this is where these are my big words of the day. It's so interesting. I've never seen these words. Just like this might be a word that I'm saying wrong, so I'll look it up. But if I'm saying it wrong, I might be saying it wrong. There is Jello. It's
pudding pop.
No, stop. It's Jellophilia and Jellophobia.
Jello like the...
No, gelato. It's gelatophilia and gelatophobia.
With a G or the J?
With a G. So it's GELOTO, philia, and GELOTO, phobia.
Yeah, which are under the gelatology.
Yes.
Which is the study of laughter and its effects on the body.
Right. So gelotophilia is... philia is enjoying being laughed at.
So comedians,
they enjoy being laughed at. And gelatophobia is the fear of being laughed at.
Which is prevalent in anybody who is nervous of public speaking.
Yes, right. The fear of being laughed at. So the other thing you want to avoid, even if you're not being sarcastic, is you probably want to avoid making fun of your partner. You want to have fun with your partner as opposed to making fun of your partner.
Right.
Now, this is a fine line, right? Because we talk about each other. I literally started this podcast talking about calling you old because you just had a birthday, and I find it hilarious that
you always call me old.
I do, because I'm so much younger than you.
So much.
In spirit.
That's not true. Of the spirits, mine is definitely younger because mine is still in adolescence.
Well, to be fair, right, you're right.
But physically, yeah, you got me.
In chronological order, I am significantly, decades younger than you are.
Physically, yes.
Yes.
So, in the physical sense of wear and tear on our bodies.
I find it hilarious to call you old all the time. I don't know why.
Because you're a hot young thing.
I am a hot young thing. I'm a tasty young thing for anybody in the over 70 crowd. I'm like that hot new, woo, who's this young whippersnapper? To nobody else. To nobody else am I the hot young
thing.
Rainbow
Dreamcatcher might have to start OnlyFans or something.
Might have to start over 70s OnlyFans. OnlyFans. Yeah, but so a little bit of that, I guess,
bit of being here and there
can be fine, right? But you want to make sure that it doesn't become toxic.
Right.
Again, that whole idea that I don't want to be playing too much. Like if I notice that actually starts to hurt your feelings, or you communicate to me like, hey, that's not something that I really find funny, and I continue to do that, that can really move into what we call bullying, right? And you don't want to use humor to bully another person. Right. That's going to turn that relationship toxic really, really quickly. And so what you're really looking for are shared experiences, right? Not one in which I make fun of you, not one in which I am cutting towards you, but one in which we both can enjoy the shared kind of humor, which means things that we both find funny. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to think of what are some of the things that we both, because we laugh a lot, but like, what do we both find funny? Like,
okay, so children falling.
That's terrible.
People,
I'm trying to be the first one.
Because I'm trying to think of the worst things that we both find funny, that are terrible, that in actuality are still hilarious. Even
to be fair, we can't be the only ones that find children falling.
Obviously not, because
I see it on YouTube all the time. That's what makes me laugh.
Yes, right.
There was this one. Did I show you? It had it was like this whole reel of like dogs knocking over kids.
Yes. Yeah, all the animals attacking children.
Not attacking,
but
they weren't attacking guys,
but knocking them over.
They just got, accidentally knocking them over. Obviously, these kids are not seriously injured,
right?
But just little
babies, toddlers,
by dogs, messing with dogs.
Excited dog, jump on the dog. It's hilarious.
It is pretty funny.
Again, one of the funniest parts. One of the reasons we love watching Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Was the opening title. Just has a little baby
that just falls.
Gets hit by the title, just falls over, cracks up every single time.
Hilarious.
But we find a lot of like.
So physical. Let's call that physical humor as opposed to kids getting knocked down. Just
physical.
Humor.
Physical mishaps funny.
Physical mishaps are funny, right?
We do like intellectual humor.
That's true. I do like
witty stuff like what we do in the shadows.
Yes, that's a great show.
Is intelligent humor, but it's also
very silly humor.
Very silly.
New York City.
Right, but like running gags are hilarious.
Gags. We have our own running gags. That's the other thing is like having inside jokes.
Yeah,
is a really strong and bonding kind of thing.
Right,
be able to do. And we have a few inside jokes. I'm trying to think, obviously New York's okay.
Yeah. Well, they develop from whatever we're watching or whatever we're seeing, right? I don't know if it's a gag, but the hottie toddy booty cha.
Oh yeah,
is our signature.
That's our signature.
Should
we explain the hot?
We gotta explain the hottie toddy booty cha.
Hottie toddy booty cha.
So get it, hottie toddy booty. And I can actually tell you, I remember the first time I was introduced to this because this was your thing.
Was that my?
It was because we were driving along and listening to music.
That's right.
And you introduced this phrase that could be done to any song.
Any song whatsoever.
And you said, hottie toddy booty cha. And you started singing hottie toddy booty cha in the place of whatever lyrics to whatever song we were singing.
And you can do that to any song. Try it, listeners.
Pick a song.
Pick a song.
And then on the beat,
just
whatever song is, just say it to the rhythm. Hottie toddy booty cha.
Or hottie toddy booty cha. Or whatever it is. However you get in. Wherever it fit in. It always
fits in.
Right.
And then, so to solidify that as our thing.
By the way, where that came from, and I don't even know where, but there is some movie somewhere where they say, hey, toddy toddy. And I don't know where, but that's where that came from. It's a real thing. Listeners, if you know what that is.
Where did the booty cha come from?
I just added that.
Okay. Hey, toddy toddy became hottie toddy booty.
Hey, toddy toddy. It was like a British something. I don't even know. If you know if that sounds familiar vaguely, let me know what that is.
Where's that from? Hey, toddy toddy.
Hi, hey, toddy toddy, or something.
We'll have to look that up.
We'll have to look it up. It's a thing. It's a real thing, though.
We end up going on a cruise for our honeymoon.
That's right, for our very
international
trip.
Our very first international trip ever.
That's right.
Nope, that's not true. Technically, the Ensenada cruise is an international cruise to Mexico. Our first European cruise.
It's our first European cruise.
Our first European cruise.
Oh, man,
of which we've had two.
So we've had two.
Yeah. But it was our honeymoon cruise, a very long cruise, and
11 days.
On the boat, this Norwegian cruise line, they had a game show with the sailors, called the Not So Newlywed Game.
Right.
And we were lucky enough to be contestants.
Right. Well, partially because first they were looking for the people with the shortest amount of time, and we had already been married by like two months at that point.
3 months. Well, no, 5 months. 5 months because September we got married in May.
Right.
So June, July, August, September. So 4 months. We've been married 4 months.
Right.
And then, so we missed out that because the couple there, they got married 2 weeks prior to the ship.
Yeah, so they beat us. Well, and then it was the couple that was married for the longest period of time, and we clearly were not going to beat that.
Not at all. The longest was.
Oh gosh, they were in their like fifth or sixth decade or something.
Yeah,
they've been together for a
long time.
And then they were going to just like any couple who wants to participate, and I think that us jumping up and down and screaming,
not just us,
as we possibly
but
could,
our new friends,
Jack and Magda.
Shout out to Jack and Magda. Shout out to Joe and Alex. All of us were like, I guess they want to come up.
Yeah, it's pretty apparent we wanted to play.
Right.
So we went up, and
if you're familiar with the newlywed style of gameplay, one half of the couple leaves the room. And then the host asks the other half of the couple questions about the relationship.
Right.
And then the other half comes back in. And then if the answers match, you get a point.
Right. And whoever gets the most points wins like a bottle of champagne and a couple t-shirts.
Right.
So, yeah.
And one of the questions you got, was it?
Yes, it was me. So the question they asked was, if a parrot landed in your bedroom and stayed for a week, what's the phrase it would learn to repeat? Right. And my answer was
Hotty toddy booty chow.
Hotty toddy booty chow. Randomly.
And what did the host say when you said that?
He said, "Excuse me,
what?" which okay, y'all listeners, you also got a picture of the scene. There is a Polish. No, not the host. The host wasn't Polish. The host was, I think, he was Venezuelan or something like that.
Filipino. He was the cruise director. What was his name?
I can't remember. I don't remember.
He was lovely.
He was great. And then, but the guy who had to write down the answers was Polish.
Yes.
I remember him. He was a great dude as well.
Also.
And I often think about him having to write down the phrase "hotty toddy booty chow"
right.
as his answer to make sure that when I came back in, I said it correctly and he could read it.
Here's the thing is that nobody thought you were going to say that correctly.
Not one person.
Like, not one person thought you were going to say that particular phrase because they thought I just made something up.
Right.
Which, I mean, technically I had.
Agreed. And then when they brought us back out, and there were several other questions asked, but when they brought us back out, that question came up. And
a parrot landed in your bedroom and stayed for a week. What is the phrase it would learn to repeat?
And I said, well, if we were being lovey-dovey, the phrase would be, "I love you more."
And everybody in the audience went, "Oh."
And then I went, but if I'm being honest and just accurate, it's "hotty toddy booty chow." And the crowd erupted. The crowd went nuts.
Hilarious.
So everybody knew
it's the hotty toddy booty chow.
Hotty toddy booty chow.
Yes,
and the weird ass dance and the sexies.
Yeah.
So that's an inside joke that we've had for a long time.
Since we've been married.
Yeah.
That inside joke.
Yeah,
We've been married now for decades.
6 years.
Almost 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm old. My memory is foggy. I remember that. Yeah.
So I mean, having inside jokes, but the whole point again is that you have something that's shared between you, and it's really about that thing that's shared that causes it to be bonding. Right. So if you want to have a good bond in your partner, it is really important, not that you have a sense of humor or that they have a sense of humor, but that you both find the same things funny. Right. It's really hard if it doesn't have to be
we don't find everything all the same things funny for sure. Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I love 12-year-old boy humor, and that's not really your vibe.
It's not really my vibe. Well, not usually.
Not usually.
Not really my vibe.
No. If I make a dumbass pun,
right,
you're quick to boo it.
Right.
You know,
It's
depending on how
the
bad it
second
is.
phrase that happens in our.
It really is.
If it wasn't hot body footage shot, it'd be boo.
Because I make dumb puns.
Terrible.
Quite
Really terrible.
Yeah.
They deserve the boo.
Yeah.
They deserve to get booed.
I get booed from my boo.
That's right. All the time.
Boo.
But that you do want to make sure that there are some things that you laugh about together that you both find funny. And if you don't, again, it's not a terrible thing. You will find other things that are bonding. It's just that this is one of those areas that is particularly healthy, and it's the reason why people are looking for folks that have a good sense of humor. They're actually not. They don't need you to be a comedian for most folks. They don't need you to be like super hilarious all the time and like entertaining. Right. They just need to know that there's a shared space where we can all laugh together. And that the things that I find funny, you'll find funny, because people who find the same things that I do funny, I think have a good sense of humor. You know?
Yeah, I was actually doing a little bit of my research on my own. So I found this article because I might research just Google. And it's from a website called Great Marriages. And I found this interesting. It mentions the benefits of laughter.
That's right, yeah.
Right. And so it talks about the reduction of stress and tension. Right. Stimulation of the immune system. Right. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, laughter, they say laughter is the best medicine. Right. And this is the kind of information that backs that up. Confirming it, right? Right. An increase of natural painkillers in the blood. Right. That's which is why I've heard a lot of parents say if a kid falls, and you cracked up with that, but if a kid hurts themselves, if you respond with laughter and you can get the kid to laugh, they heal faster. Or at least it dulls the pain immediately. It dulls the pain a lot quicker, whatever. Right. It also, some parents say it teaches them that a lot of, when early on, you're teaching them how to react to instances of pain, that it doesn't have to be this dramatic, nervous, fearful. That I can use laughter as a means to get past difficult times. Right. Absolutely. The parents who kid hurts themselves, oh my God, they freak out. And the kid really freaks out because of that reaction. Sure, you're kind of training them what to do. Right. It says reduction of blood pressure, decrease in systemic inflammation. Yeah, that makes sense. Lifts your spirits. It does. Right. I love that that's one of the benefits. It lifts your spirits. Right. Brings couples closer together. What we're talking about today. That's what we're talking about today. Nail on the head. And it can keep a relationship fresh. Does it keep our relationship fresh? I think we keep finding new fun things and things that find funny. And because we keep developing new... We do have new jokes. New jokes and new inside humors. That's and then we develop a shorthand with it. That's right. Right. Yeah, it's got to make us very annoying to go out with it on occasion. It can. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to ask our friends if they find it kind of irritating. That I'll say like a phrase and we're like, and nobody knows why we're laughing. I mean, but also, the shorthand. Well, like when we went to go see Barbie. Yes. In the movie theater. And now, to be fair, we're in Romania. We are in Romania right now. And the audience in the theater, therefore Romanian, don't speak a whole lot of English, and they're definitely not getting the California jokes. Right. Yeah. There are a lot of cultural touchstones, a lot of humor in there that is really specifically based on where they were in that movie. Yeah. And we were the only two laughing in the whole thing. And we were laughing out loud. Laughing very loudly and cracking up. And then realized it's just me? Just me? Over here? Okay. Got it. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, guys. But again, that kind of bonded us together. For sure, right? Yeah, because it was just a thing. It was literally just us laughing. And that movie's hilarious. You should definitely go see it. Yeah. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. Gotta go see it again. Although, we support SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild strike, so we are not promoting any movies, just making commentary on that was a funny fucking film. Yeah, that was just the thing that we happened to go see. Yeah. I don't know anything about that, y'all. I'm not an actor or actress, unfortunately. Or I guess fortunately. I really enjoy what I do, so fortunately. Fortunately. And I think that one of the things that I fell in love with you with was the fact that we found some of the same things funny. We had a sense of humor. We could joke and laugh. It's great to find somebody you can laugh with.
Yeah.
You know, especially about dumb shit.
Yeah.
You know.
No, so sweet.
We get silly and stupid.
No, I can't. I wish I could say the same. No,
sarcasm.
Sarcasm. Avoid it. Doctor, heal thyself.
Yeah.
Not a doctor.
So laughter is
it's a good thing for relationships. Laughter generally is positive in a relationship. You can find someone you can laugh with. That's a really good green flag. We often talk about red flags, especially when we're talking relationships,
right,
and what to look for, what to avoid. But I'm telling you, shared sense of humor, a shared sense of fun, a shared kind of play, those are all green flags.
Right.
Like, very, very good, solid relational process if you can laugh with someone. And we, just in case you want to know, listeners, we laugh every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
About something.
Yeah. I think there was just like one period of time in our relationship, and it was when it was not great in our relationship.
Right.
Where there was no laughter in the house.
But there was still laughter.
You think so?
Yeah, I think.
I don't think there was laughter. There wasn't any.
There may not have been a lot of inside joke. There was still laughter in the house, right? There were still funny shows we may watch, or funny things that may happen, or even when we're trying to get through the situations,
right? Yeah.
Right? That something would be funny.
Would you say that laughter helped us to get through that situation? I don't know.
I would say it was a component.
Okay, yeah.
I would say it was definitely a component. That's because what it also does, it reminds you of
that we're still friends.
Yeah, and the good times, and right. And again, laughter relieves tension. Laughter, it eases. When you're laughing, obviously, when you're laughing together or something, it eases. It's easier to get into a tougher conversation.
Yeah.
When you're in a higher state of.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I do use humor a lot in my practice. Obviously, I can't get too deeply into that, but it's really interesting that when you're always in a private space, right? So I'm always in a place where I'm locked away. I'm in a private room, but I have a very loud laugh, and I remember I would be working at an agency. And I would come out during my sessions, and people were like, "Why are you laughing all day? Like, who are you talking to that you are laughing all day?" And I deal with very difficult topics. I work with adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. I work with folks who are experiencing or have experienced infidelity, and are really going through that very painful process. I work with folks that have complex trauma. And I find that laughter often helps to make that space a safe space. And it helps to create safety between partners. And so, like, if you even look up, like, I guess this is the plug, I don't know, but if you even look up my webpage, I highlight that part of how I work is with the use of humor. So if, like, you don't want therapy to be funny, then you probably should not come to see me because, like, I don't know, it's just it's a part of who I am. So I can't really engage through my entire day and not have something to laugh or smile about, right?
Right.
And I guess there's a place for that, right? Because there's gallows humor, there's all kinds of different humor that help us to get through these darker times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess, just in life in general, I think laughter is an important part of just the work that I do, and helping other people to get to that space. And I think it's really one of those crucial and beautiful gifts that we get as human beings, that we can laugh.
Yeah, I would say that going through my therapeutic journey with my therapist, of course, I come from a place of humor all the time. Like I find so many things funny. My sense of humor. The fact that I could laugh with my therapist and we could joke about things and talk about funny things or whatever, and laugh together. I realized from the patient side, how healing that was, and how comfortable it made it easier to talk to my therapist. And,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
go through that, because we're able to use humor, and we can joke about things and talk about funny things or whatever, and laugh together. I realized from the patient side, how healing that was, and how comfortable it made it easier to talk to my therapist. And go through that because we're able to use humor in that way.
Yeah. So, like, what's the takeaway before we get to our question for our podcast today?
Laugh and laugh often.
Yeah, laugh with your partner. Find things that are fun between you.
You know, that's the reason why those phrases are like live, laugh, love.
Right.
You know, laugh is in there. Like, you know,
Yep.
Find things, find somebody who you can laugh with.
Yes.
Don't necessarily get somebody you want to laugh at.
Yes.
That's not going to end well.
Yeah. Find somebody you can laugh with, and find someone who is, you know, kind in their laughter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we find somebody you two can laugh together at somebody else.
Rude.
Oh yeah, it's rude. But at least you guys will be a great.
Yeah, make it a you guys. Make sure that the laughter is between you guys.
Between you two, absolutely.
So, question.
Right. Let's get a question for today. This question comes from Anonymous.
Okay.
What is the right balance in a relationship of doing your own thing and building a life together?
You know, that's really interesting because, you know, I often have folks that talk to me and they want to talk to me about whether or not their relationship is codependent.
Okay.
You know, meaning that they are struggling to find a life that is separate from one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I explain it is that, you know, okay, so you'll appreciate this as like someone who likes superhero movies.
Okay. I do like superhero movies.
You know, I describe it as like a gyroscope, right? And for our listeners, a gyroscope, in my imagination, it's this thing that has like this energy center, right? Okay. And then there are like these gears that move around it, right? In almost like concentric circles,
yep.
Right? And it moves in all these various different ways and patterns, but it moves in sync, right?
Yes.
And
kind of like a spell from No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home that Doctor Strange did.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Uh-huh.
Yes. So if you think about that kind of mechanism, right? If it's too close, then the nothing's going to move. It's going to be fused together, right? The energy won't be able to do what it's supposed to do. If you move it too far apart, all you've got are these like disparate parts that aren't actually working together, right? So the goal, and there's not like a particular amount of time or, you know, way of being, really that's going to be individual depending on what works for the partnership. But what you really want is something that works interdependently, meaning that each part is on its own trajectory, right? But it is close enough that it helps to generate energy in the relationship. Yeah, that's the way I would describe that. So it's not... Let's see, but the question is how
do you, from doing your own, how do you
determine what that looks like?
Yeah, how do you go from how you merge doing your own thing versus building a relationship together?
Yeah. I think the important part is knowing that you do need to, for most of us, have to have something that is our own thing.
Right. Which we do. You and I do.
We do. Yeah. I mean, very much so. I think we share a lot. I mean, and especially since we're traveling and we're, you know, kind of, you know, running around the world and seeing the world, we spend a lot of time together, probably more than the average partnership because we, you know.
Neither one of us is going off to work, whatever.
We're running around. We're running around different cities. We're figuring stuff out together. Right. It's easier to figure those things out together. We're often in the same space. You know? Right. We meet similar kinds of folks. But we also really respect our differences. I think the primary difference is just in how we even approach like the day. Like I'm a morning person.
But
stop. You know, as soon as I open my eyes, I'm awake. I'm ready to hit the day. I'm ready to get up and moving. Like I can get started and doing whatever I need to get done. And I really thrive kind of like early in the day and then kind of like wind down at night. And you're the exact opposite.
I really am. I don't want to open my eyes until the clocks have at least double digits in the first number. And then
super night owl.
And I'll be up crazy late.
Yeah, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right back to single digits on that first number.
Yeah, which is I'd be comatose at that time.
Right.
So I mean, I think one of the things that we figured out very early was that if we tried to get on the other one's schedule, this was not going to work.
Right.
Like, not even remotely.
Mm-hmm.
And while there are times where you'll stretch and get up in the morning, or I'll stretch and I'll try to stay up late at night, just respecting that that's who we are as people means that, like, oftentimes you'll go off and do nighttime activities, which I guess people find strange. I don't know. But for me, it just seems like perfect, because you can leave. I can have my own time.
Yeah.
I can, sleep.
Go to sleep at your own,
at my own pace. I can do what I need to do. And then you're not stuck, at home because I'm at home. And vice versa in the morning, right? Like, I can go off and do like my pole classes, or I can
get up
go
and have your
explore the
lovely
city.
morning cup of coffee.
My little cup of Joe.
Right.
Yum, yum, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just go out and, do things in the city, or, do whatever I need to do, walk the dog, hang out, enjoy the sea if we're out by the sea.
Yeah.
And, really have a time that's just for me.
Mm-hmm. And then the afternoon time we get together, we get to hang out. And
yeah, I mean, if we're not,
we're not doing stuff. Yeah,
we're not doing stuff.
We can watch a movie together. We can, explore the city together.
Yeah, we have to eat together.
Yeah,
So I think that at least for us, we found a good balance.
Right.
And the way that you find that balance is first acknowledging that there should be differences. A lot of times I sit with folks who think that the way to be a good couple is to get to be as similar as possible.
Uh-huh.
And, you do want to have some overlap, right? If we were totally different, then that wouldn't work.
Right.
But you also don't want to get to a place that the way I describe it to folks is I don't want to cut off my right arm and you cut off your left arm and we put a little bloody stumps together and try to
right.
But where, we get to that place in relationship where I think everybody wants to get to, which is I get to be myself with you, know, as opposed to I have to be you, I have to be like you. I can just be myself and you can accept me as who I am, and those things that are important in terms of how I operate and vice versa.
I think it's funny when people would call you the female me.
Do they?
They did.
Really?
Remember they told us both that.
And they tell me that.
Some did.
That would have been like lies.
That's exactly what we both were. We're like, no, we're not. She's not. Like, she wants to feel like you. No, not like you. And all my mind is highlighting is all those differences. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, no, she does this and I do this. She does this and I do this. Mm-hmm. I like this and she does like that. And she like that and I can't stand that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of meat in the middle.
Yes.
Right, there's a lot of meat in the middle.
And I think what it is, I think what people are highlighting when they say that, I think what they're highlighting is the fact that we just really enjoy each other.
Right.
And I think the key for us, at least, and I think the key for a lot of good relationships is to enjoy your partner without forcing them to change or alter things that are fundamental about them. Right. If I have to have you, and it's not to say that you shouldn't change a relationship. That's the other opposite end of that, where people are like, I'm not going to change it up a relationship. Then you don't want to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
You just go be by yourself. Go enjoy your life. Because working with another person does require compromise. But it's not all compromise. It's not 100% compromise.
Yeah, you don't got to 100% change yourself.
Yeah, it's not total capitulation, right? So I think it's acknowledgement that there are differences and acknowledging that those differences are okay, when they are okay. Mm-hmm. Acknowledging where they're not okay. I mean, there are some times where I'm like, I really need you to come hang out at night.
Yeah. Yeah, and you go, okay.
Yeah. And
you make that decision and then,
yeah,
you do that because that is the request and requirement.
Yeah. So but so I guess to answer the question is acknowledge, first become aware, then acknowledge, and then respect. Yeah. The differences in terms of how each of you views how to have a rich life.
And be sure to maintain
connection
and whatever is important to you. Right. If something is really important to you, communicate that.
Yep.
Express that. Yep. And then if you're with somebody who respects that, then you're with the right person.
Right. Yeah.
And that can be that can be an indicator that you might not be with the right person.
Yeah.
If you're like, man, I really love, like, if you were like, I cannot stand karaoke. Mm-hmm. It is the worst thing in the world, and I hate it, and I don't ever want you to go again. Yeah. We wouldn't be here.
Really? You give me up for karaoke?
The determination,
I think it's the veto.
It's the veto.
Right. Yeah,
right?
It's the veto.
You may not like karaoke. You really don't.
I really don't.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing. It's not that I don't like it now.
Right.
Now I can.
Not as much as I love it.
No, I don't love it.
No, I love karaoke, right?
For me, it would be a very, 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 very occasional engagement.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also let me love karaoke.
Absolutely.
Right. Versus if you didn't like karaoke and said, to be with me, you can't go to karaoke ever.
Yeah, I really hate it if you went there.
You see, I guess it's not going to work out.
Wow.
I'm really going to want to go at some point in time.
We just broke up on the Love Podcast, y'all.
I mean, to flip it on the other side, if I was like, you could never, ever watch trash TV ever again.
Why can't it be trash TV, though? Why can't it be pole class or something wholesome?
No, because I'm going by the thing that I love pole class. I love you do pole class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking.
But you don't want to go.
I'll go every now and then.
Exactly.
Okay,
every now and again.
Okay, so fair. If I was like, you can never go to pole class. You can never do pole. I don't like pole. TV. I'm just saying.
I only watch good TV.
Okay.
I only watch the entertaining.
I'm sorry. It's my indication it's trash TV. For you,
Clone Wars is trash TV.
It is. Right, fair. Yeah, I think 90 Day Fiance.
And I think, Clone Wars.
Yeah, right.
What are we doing here?
Why were we
watching cartoons, girl, people?
Yeah. Those are amazing. Shout out to Dave Filoni. But right. If I was like, absolutely not. You cannot go to pole class ever. If you like pole, you can't be together. Then we wouldn't.
But actually, what's interesting about that is people.
I know.
I don't understand it. I mean, I guess I struggle. I struggle to understand it. I intellectually understand it.
Right.
But I also think that sometimes folks just come from a position of wanting to restrict.
Right.
And that safety, restricting feels safe. Right. So the other underlying, I think, part of that is that there has to be a foundation of safety in the relationship where both partners feel secure enough to be different.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you can be different. You can go do your thing, and I can do my thing, and that's okay because there is also, again, enough meat in the middle.
Yes, there's enough security between us to say, like, I'm fine with you going out at night and going and having a great time without me, and not thinking that you're taking something away from our relationship, but like bringing something back. And you're fine with me heading out in the morning and wandering around the city and sitting down and having like coffee in random cafes and just enjoying the day, hitting a pole class or two,
swinging around
metal rods and tiny outfits, So yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I hope
Thanks for the question, Anonymous.
I answered your question, Anonymous. Thank you again for tuning in and listening. If you too would like to submit a question to Rainbow Dreamcatcher, you can hit us up on our email address at rainbowdreamcatchertlp@gmail.com.
Yep, we read all of your messages, and we're very grateful for those folks that are sending us questions and stories. It's been really fun to sit down and read through some of your experiences. Can't wait to talk about them more and to answer more of your questions.
And send us some more stories. We're running low on those, so we'd appreciate if you have some of those. So go ahead and send those in. We're currently readjusting our Instagram. So by the time you hear this, it'll be new and up and running. Yeah. And I'll put the new IG handle in the summary of this podcast.
Yeah. But let us know what you'd like us to talk about. Send us any topics that you'd be interested in hearing about. We've got a few things that we've got in mind, but would love to hear more about what you guys want to hear when it comes to love, relationships, and connection.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you have a beautiful day.
Thanks so much. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Dreamcatcher,
the
Love Podcast. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.